Okay, let's talk about warehouse. What was suggested to us was to actually find a warehouse to get our boxes put on pallets and wrapped and ready for the shipping container. We were so lucky that our pastor recommended Terry Wills from Wills Transport for this to us. He was amazing. So depending on what area you live in, you might call around and ask about warehouses and what the rates are. I would think you would at least need it 1 month, maybe 2 months. If we would have had it a little sooner, because we hadn't thought of this and wasn't recommended to us until just right when we found it, but if we had had this warehouse sooner, we could have probably packed the whole 40 feet of shipping container because we would have had a place to put the boxes. We were packing up boxes and they were going into our dining room. And then it was impossible to move around and it was impossible to then have the space to pack more boxes. So if you really want to plan this out well, I'd say get it a month in advance at the time you think you're going to leave and try to make sure you have at least another month because there could be delays, which I'll get into a little bit later. But at least have a month for you to bring your boxes over there every week or a couple times a week and then start packing your pallets. And then you'll have an idea how many pallets you have as well. And as I said, I didn't know until 2 days before we left that we only needed a 20-foot shipping container. Because 2 days before we left on the Sunday, we had friends come over from our church who helped us move a lot of the bigger items out of our house and into the warehouse. And then they helped us put it on pallets. And that's when we realized, oh, we have like 8.5. So we had like 1.5 left to fill. So we went home in a mad rush to pack those last few boxes before leaving on Tuesday. This was Sunday to Tuesday. We didn't have a lot of time to finish that. So I'm giving you this advice because a month would have been a lot better for us. We only had the warehouse for about 2 weeks before we were to leave. So I explained a bit earlier, but when we were at the warehouse, I had a clipboard and a paper and a pen, and I would write down, okay, this is box MCKB002. It's on pallet 7. And I did that for all of them because I thought if we somehow lose a pallet somehow, I would know exactly what we had lost. The only thing was it got a little tricky because some boxes were put on pallet 7 and they're like, oh, they don't fit well here. We're going to put on pallet 8. And, some things got flipped around a bit. But I did a pretty good job of figuring out where things were at. And it was more for us to know if something went missing, I would know what was in that whole pallet that went missing, or if something got damaged for that matter, right? If you had something that was damaged, you're like, oh my goodness, that pallet got damaged and that has all my clothes in it. I want to get that box out right away to see if I can salvage what's left. This is just to help keep you organized in case of emergencies.